Welcome to my channel. You listen to English every day, but still can't speak? You try to repeat, but the words don't come out right? Your brain understands, but your mouth stays quiet. That's not your fault. You were never shown the English audiobook's way to speak English. In this video, I will show you the real steps to go from silence to speaking, step by step, word by word, with my story. You don't need talent. You need the right method. Comment below. Do you feel stuck when you try to speak English? Yes or no? Chapter 1. The first word I could say. I still remember the moment. I was sitting on the floor with my old headphones. A small video was playing. A cartoon character said one word in English. It was a simple word. I had heard it before. But that day, I decided to say it too. I paused the video. I took a deep breath. I opened my mouth, and I whispered the word. It did not sound right. It was soft, broken, not clear. I felt nervous, but I tried again, and again. I said that word 10 times, then 20, then 50. It was just one word, but it became mine. It became real, and that was the beginning. Before that moment, I only listened. I listened to songs. I listened to teachers. I listened to movies. But I never spoke. I thought I couldn't. I thought only smart people could speak English. I thought I had no talent. I was wrong. I just needed to try. Not with big grammar books, not with long lessons, just with one small word. And that one word gave me power. It was like a key. It opened the door to speaking. After that, I found more words, simple ones, like apple, book, water, hello. I listened to each one. I paused. I repeated. Sometimes I got it wrong. My tongue did not move the right way. I laughed at myself, but I kept going. I was alone in my room. Nobody could hear me. I had nothing to lose. So I practiced. I said the same word again and again, until it felt natural, until it became easy. I did not try to learn many things at once. I just picked one word each day. I played the word from a cartoon or video. I paused it. I said it. I said it slowly. Then a little faster. Then faster. I copied the voice. I tried to match the sound. I listened like music. I repeated like a singer. It felt like magic. My mouth was waking up. My brain was learning. My fear was leaving. In school, I had always felt small. The teacher spoke fast. I could not follow. I stayed silent. I hoped she wouldn't call my name. My classmates could speak. They raised their hands. They gave answers. I just watched. I felt ashamed. I felt like I didn't belong. But now, at home, with my small headphones, I was learning in my own way, and it felt right. I was not fast, but I was free. Every morning, I picked one word. I made it my word for the day. I said it while brushing my teeth. I said it while walking. I said it before sleep. I said it until I could say it without thinking. Then I picked another word the next day. Slowly, the words became phrases, then small sentences, then full thoughts. But it all started with one word, the first word I could say, the first word I made my own. If you are watching this and you feel stuck, please don't feel bad. Don't say, I can't speak. Just say, I can start. Pick one word, a small one. Play it. Pause. Repeat. Whisper it, speak it, feel it, make it yours. It may feel strange at first, but it will get easier. Your brain will listen, your mouth will learn, your voice will grow. This is the English Audiobooks way. Simple, honest, step by step. We don't try to be perfect. We just try to begin. And once you begin, everything changes. So pick your first word today and say it with love. Because every big speaker once began with a small whisper. Chapter 2. Why repeating is not copying. It's creating. When I first started repeating English words, some people laughed. They said, "You are just copying." They said, "You will never learn to speak if you just repeat others." I felt small again. I wanted to hide. But deep inside, I knew something they didn't. I wasn't copying. I was creating. I was creating a new voice, a new skill, a new version of myself, one that could speak, one that could express, one that was not afraid anymore. Repeating is not just about saying what others say. It's about teaching your tongue how to move. It's about training your brain to think in sound, not in silence. It's about learning the rhythm, the music, the pauses of English. When you repeat, you are not being lazy. You are being smart. Babies learn by repeating. Singers train by repeating. Even actors repeat their lines 100 times. Why not us? I remember one day I found a short video. It was a simple story. A child's story. Just a few lines. I played it again and again. "This is my dog. He is big. He runs fast." I paused. I said the line. Then I played it again. Then I repeated again. I did this for 1 hour. Yes, 1 full hour. At the end, I could say the story without help. My voice sounded stronger. My mouth felt more natural. My heart felt proud. You see, every time I repeated, I was building a bridge between my ears and my mouth, a bridge between understanding and speaking. Without that bridge, words stay locked in your head. You may know the meaning, but you cannot say it. That's why repetition is power. It is practice for your tongue, not just your brain. I started doing this every day. I picked one video. I made sure it was short and easy. I watched it. I listened to how the person spoke. I copied the emotion, the speed, the tone. I didn't just say the words. I tried to feel the words. If the speaker smiled, I smiled. If the speaker was excited, I was excited too. It was not just speaking, it was acting. It was expression. It was creation. One day, I repeated a sentence in front of my cousin. He looked at me and said, "You sound like a real English speaker." That moment stayed with me. I didn't need a big certificate. I didn't need a classroom. I just needed that one sentence of praise. It gave me wings. It made me want to keep going. So I did. But I didn't repeat everything. I chose carefully. I didn't waste time on hard news clips or long videos. I chose videos with easy words, slow speed, clear voice, and meaning. I repeated things that were useful, things I could use in real life. Phrases like, "Can you help me?" "I don't understand." "What do you mean?" These phrases became part of me. I didn't have to think. They just came out. You don't need to repeat everything you hear. You need to repeat what matters. Repeat what you love. Repeat what you need. Repeat what helps you speak. You don't need to sound perfect. You need to sound real. And real English comes from real practice. Not once, not twice, but every day. I also discovered something beautiful. When I repeated the same story again and again, it became easier to remember. The words stayed in my mind. The sentences stayed in my mouth. I could say them while walking, cooking, or waiting at the bus stop. Repeating made English part of my day, part of my life, part of my identity. So if anyone tells you you're just copying, smile at them, because you know the truth. You are not copying. You are creating fluency. You are building confidence. You are giving life to words. You are training your voice to tell your story. Repeat with feeling. Repeat with purpose. Repeat with joy. Don't stop because it's boring. Make it fun. Use stories, songs, or even funny dialogues. Whatever makes you smile, repeat that. The more you enjoy it, the more you grow. This is your journey. And it begins with listening, then repeating, and soon speaking. Not like a robot, but like a real person with a real story. Just like I did. Chapter 3. When I started speaking alone in my room. Speaking English in front of people was my biggest fear. I could repeat sentences in my mind. I could say words while watching a video. But when someone looked at me, my voice disappeared. My hands felt cold. My face turned red. My mind went blank. I wanted to speak, but nothing came out. So I stopped waiting for the perfect time. I decided to begin where I felt safe, alone, in my room. At first I felt strange. I stood in front of the mirror and said, "Hello, my name is Adam." My voice sounded weak. I was not sure if I was doing it right, but I kept going. I smiled at myself. I pretended to meet someone. I said things like, "Nice to meet you, how are you?" and "I am fine, thank you." I practiced small talks. It was just me and my reflection. No fear, no pressure, just practice. Every morning, I made a little plan. I chose 3 sentences, not long ones, just normal, everyday phrases. I listened to them on my phone. I paused. I repeated them. Then I stood up and said them out loud, not in my head, with my voice. I said them slowly, then faster. I used my hands. I used my face. I tried to speak like I really meant it. Soon, I started to enjoy it. I made a small world inside my room. I used a bottle as a microphone. I acted like I was on stage. I imagined myself giving a speech. Sometimes I laughed at myself. Sometimes I made mistakes, but I didn't stop. I knew this was the only way to become strong, by facing my fear in a small way every day. I also spoke to objects. Yes, real objects. I looked at my books and said, "This is my book." I looked at the door and said, "The door is open." I talked to my pillow. "I am going to sleep now." These were not conversations, but they were real speaking practice. I was using English. I was connecting the words to my world. It helped more than I expected. Then I found shadowing. Shadowing means listening to someone speak and saying the words at the same time, like an echo, like a shadow. I found a slow English video. The speaker said, "Today is a sunny day." I repeated with him at the same time. At first, I could not keep up, but after 10 minutes, I was doing better. My tongue moved faster. My brain worked harder. But I felt alive. I felt like I was speaking for real. I made a habit. Every evening before dinner, I spent 10 minutes shadowing a short story. I did it every day, not for hours, just 10 minutes. But those 10 minutes were powerful. My brain stopped translating. I started thinking in English. I didn't wait to understand every word. I just copied the rhythm, the music, the speed. And something changed. I started to speak without fear. One night, I sat on my bed and looked at the window. I whispered to myself, "You did well today." That sentence, in English, came out naturally. I didn't plan it. I didn't search for the words. It just came. That's when I knew. Speaking alone was not silly. It was strong. It was real. It was the beginning of my fluency. So if you are too shy to speak in front of people, it's okay. Start in your room. Start with your mirror. Talk to yourself. Talk to objects. Talk like you are in a movie. You are not being foolish. You are being brave. Speaking alone is not a waste of time. It is your secret training ground. It is where your voice becomes strong. Every great speaker begins in silence, and then, little by little, they practice. They listen. They repeat. They speak. Not once, not twice, but every single day. This is how I learned to speak. This is how you can learn too. Don't wait for confidence to come first. Speak, and the confidence will follow. Even if it's just one sentence today, say it. Feel it. Believe in it. Because when you speak alone, you are never really alone. You are with your dream. You are walking toward your goal. And that is enough. Chapter 4. The English Audiobook's Way to Repeat Smartly, Not Just Repeating for Hours. In the beginning, I thought more practice meant more hours, so I repeated the same video for 2 hours straight. I read the same sentence again and again. I thought this was the way. But after some time, I felt tired. I wasn't improving. I was just repeating without feeling. My brain was full, but my mouth was not growing. That's when I learned something important. You don't need to repeat more. You need to repeat smart. I started thinking like a teacher. I asked myself, what do I really want to say in English? I didn't need to know difficult words. I needed to know useful words, real words, everyday words. So I made a small list, just 10 phrases, short ones. Things like, I don't understand, can you help me, and what time is it? I listened to these phrases in real conversations, then I repeated them, slowly, clearly, with meaning, not for 2 hours, just for 10 minutes. And those 10 minutes changed everything. I use stories too, not long novels, just short stories, simple ones. I picked one story for 1 week. I listened to it every day. I read it aloud. I repeated each sentence, not just once, 3 times. I did not rush. I paused after each line. I repeated like I was acting in a play. I copied the voice, the feeling, the pauses. That helped me sound more natural, more confident, more real. Then I discovered something powerful. The English Audiobook's Way. It means learning from small, simple stories with purpose, Not just any story. A story with clear sentences. A story with real feelings. A story that teaches you words you can use. I found stories that had people talking. Not just describing things, but really talking. Conversations. Questions. Answers. This helped me repeat with context. I knew why the speaker was saying something. That made it easier to remember. Every night I chose one story. I read it once. Then I listened to the audio. Then I repeated one sentence at a time. I didn't try to finish the whole story. I focused on the parts that mattered. I repeated only the important sentences. I said them slowly, then again, with emotion, then again, without looking. That was smart repetition. That was the English audiobook's way. I also learned something new. I didn't need hundreds of words. I needed the right words. The words that come up again and again. Words like go, do, want, need, have. These words are the roots of English. I practiced them in many sentences. I want to go. I need some help. Do you have it? Simple sentences. Powerful practice. I stopped watching long videos. I stopped trying to learn fast. I made my learning quiet, small, gentle. I listened, I paused, I repeated. I gave myself time. I repeated, smart, not hard. That's when my speaking became faster. Not because I repeated for hours, but because I repeated the right things, in the right way. Sometimes I sat with my notebook and wrote the sentences I wanted to speak. Then I recorded my voice. I listened to myself. I checked if I sounded clear. Then I repeated the same sentence again. My voice grew stronger. My heart felt lighter. I started believing that I could speak fluently, step by step. So here is the secret. You don't need more time. You need more care, more focus. Don't repeat everything. Repeat what gives you power. Repeat what helps you speak with confidence. Choose your materials carefully. One short story, one good video, one real conversation. Use them again and again until they become a part of you. This is the English audiobook's way. Learn slow, speak strong, repeat smart, grow fast. Your goal is not to speak for others. Your goal is to speak for yourself, to understand, to express, to feel safe with your words. That begins with choosing the right words, the right method, and repeating with heart. You don't have to study for hours. Just 10 minutes a day with full focus can change your life. One small story, one real sentence, one honest voice, yours. Let it grow, one word at a time. Chapter 5. Speaking to real people after repeating alone. Repeating alone helped me a lot. I felt safe in my room. I could try. I could fail. Nobody laughed. Nobody judged. But deep inside, I knew. One day, I had to speak to someone. A real person. Not a video, not a mirror. A person with real eyes, real voice, real questions. I was scared, but I was ready. All the days I spent repeating, they were preparing me for this moment. It happened in a shop. I was looking at a book. A man stood next to me. He said, "Excuse me, is this your bag?" I froze. I knew the words. I had heard them before, but now they were real. I had to answer. I smiled and said, "No, it's not mine. Just 5 words." But I said them. I used my voice, my hands were shaking, but my sentence was clear. That small moment was big for me. I walked out of the shop and felt something new. Power. Joy. I did it. I used English in the real world. I wanted to do it again. Not because I was perfect, but because I was alive. I could speak. My practice was working. After that, I started speaking more. Slowly. Carefully. I asked for directions. I said thank you in English. I asked, "How much is this?" I knew these phrases because I had repeated them many times. They were not just in my memory, they were in my mouth, in my breath, in my voice. One day I joined a small English class. I sat in the back. The teacher asked a question. No one answered. My heart beat fast. I raised my hand. I said, "Can I try?" I gave my answer. It was simple, but correct. The teacher smiled. My classmates clapped. I felt proud. I felt brave. That day I became someone new, not silent, not scared, but a speaker. I also spoke with my friends who knew English. I told them I wanted to practice. They said, "Of course." We started with small talks. How are you? What did you eat today? What do you like? These were not big conversations, but they were real, and real speaking made me stronger. Sometimes I made mistakes. I said wrong words. I used wrong grammar. I felt embarrassed, but my friends smiled. They said, "Don't worry. We understand you." That gave me hope. I learned that speaking is not about being perfect. It's about being brave, about trying, about learning from every mistake. I remember one moment clearly. I was talking with a visitor from another country. She said, "Your English is good?" I said, "Thank you. I practice every day." She asked, "Did you go to English school?" I smiled and said, "No." I repeat. I speak alone. I listen. I try. She nodded and said, "That's the best way." Her words stayed in my heart. After that, I looked for more chances. I joined online speaking groups. I spoke to people in voice chats. I made mistakes. I learned new words. I repeated. I improved. Each time I spoke, I became less afraid. I began to enjoy the process. Speaking to real people is different from repeating alone. It's faster. It's real. But it becomes easier when you've already repeated the phrases before. When your mouth knows what to say. When your brain is used to the sound. That's why listening and repeating are so important. They prepare you for the real world. If you feel afraid to speak, I understand. I was like you. But your fear is not your enemy. It's a sign that you care. Use that feeling. Let it push you forward. Start with one sentence, one smile, one hello. Speak to a friend, a shopkeeper, a classmate, anyone. You don't need perfect grammar. You need courage. And courage comes from preparation, from all those days you spent listening, repeating, whispering alone. That work was never wasted. It's inside you now, waiting to come out. So when the time comes, speak. Don't wait for the perfect moment. It may never come. Make this moment yours. Speak your truth. Say your sentence. Use your voice, even if it shakes. Because once you speak to one real person, everything changes. You see that English is not a wall, it is a bridge, and you are already crossing it. Chapter 6. How I repeated stories to train my brain. I used to forget words quickly. I learned something new, and the next day it was gone. I felt sad. I thought maybe I was not smart enough. But then I discovered a simple secret. Stories. Not long stories. Just short, easy stories. I listened to them. I repeated them. I read them again and again. And slowly, something changed. My brain stopped forgetting. My brain started remembering. Words stayed with me longer. Sentences felt natural. English started living in my mind. I didn't need big grammar books. I needed small stories, with simple language, with real people, with real emotions. When I read a story, I connected to it. I saw the people. I felt their feelings. That made the words stay in my heart, not just in my head. And when something touches your heart, you don't forget it. I picked one short story each week, just one. That was my story for the week. I read it on day 1. I listened to the audio. Then I repeated each sentence. I spoke slowly. I copied the speaker's voice. I copied the pauses, the tone, the rhythm. I did this every day. By day 5, I could tell the story myself. By day 7, I didn't even need the paper. I had it in my memory, in my voice. One story I loved was about a boy and a dog. The boy lost his dog. He looked for it. He asked people, "Have you seen my dog?" At the end, he found the dog near a tree. That story taught me so many useful phrases. I'm looking for, "Have you seen near the tree?" These were real English phrases. I could use them in life, not just in the story. Repeating stories helped me in a different way, too. It helped me think in English. I stopped translating from my language. I started thinking in simple English sentences. That was a big change. Before, I always thought in my language first. Then I translated. Then I spoke. But after repeating many stories, my brain started to speak first in English. It was slow, but it was real. I didn't need to translate anymore. One day, I was walking and saw a cat. And without thinking, I said, "The cat is on the wall." It came out by itself. I didn't plan it. That moment told me something. The stories were working. The repetition was doing something deep inside me. I chose stories that were interesting to me, not boring ones, not stories full of hard words. I liked stories about friends, about animals, about daily life, because those are the things I wanted to talk about. I didn't care about perfect vocabulary. I cared about speaking with confidence. I also used the English audiobooks method. Listen, repeat, speak. I read the story once. Then I listened to it. Then I shadowed it, spoke with the audio. Then I told the story in my own words. Sometimes I changed small parts. I added my name. I added my favorite food. This made the story feel personal, like it was mine. I didn't try to remember every word. I remembered the feeling, the meaning, the key sentences. That was enough. I didn't need to be perfect. I needed to feel connected to the story. That made the English real. Stories gave me more than language. They gave me joy. I smiled when the story was happy. I felt sad when the story was sad. English was no longer a subject. It was an emotion. It was a voice. It was a part of life. You don't need to learn everything today. Just choose one short story. Read it. Listen to it. Speak it. Repeat it every day. Soon it will become your story, and it will stay with you, inside your voice, inside your mind. This is how I trained my brain. This is how I moved from slow thinking to fast speaking. Not by pressure, but by stories. Stories that made me feel something. Stories that made me speak without fear. Repeat stories with love, and they will love you back. Chapter 7. You don't just speak English, you feel it. In the beginning, I only wanted to speak. Just say the words. Just answer the questions. Just survive. I repeated words. I practiced sentences. I learned how to ask and reply, but something was missing. Something deep. I was saying the words, yes, but I wasn't feeling them. The words were like empty boxes. They had sound, but no life. One day, I realized the truth. If I wanted to speak well, I had to feel English, not just speak it. It happened during a story, a very small, simple story. A girl was talking about her family. She said, "I miss my mother." That line touched me. It was soft. It was true. I closed my eyes. I said the same line. I miss my mother. This time, I didn't just say it. I felt it. I remembered my mother. I remembered her smile. I repeated the sentence again, with feeling. My voice changed. My heart changed. That was the first time I truly spoke English. Not with my mouth, but with my soul. After that, I started paying attention to feeling. I didn't just repeat lines. I listened to how people said them. Were they happy? Were they angry? Were they sad or excited? I copied that emotion. I said the words like I meant them. I didn't care if my grammar was perfect. I cared if my message was real. That made all the difference. English is not just about grammar and vocabulary. It is about connection. When you say, "I love this book," do you feel the love in your voice? When you say, "I don't understand," do you show your feeling of confusion? These small things matter. They make your English human. They make people listen. They make you believe in yourself. One day, I met a boy who spoke very fast. His words were strong, but his eyes were tired. I could not feel his message. I realized speed is not everything. Feeling is more important. Even if you speak slowly, if your words have heart, people will understand you. People will trust you. People will remember you. So I slowed down. I stopped trying to be fast. I started to be real. I spoke like I was telling a story. I used pauses. I used my hands. I smiled when I said something funny. I looked serious when I asked a deep question. That's how English became more than a skill. It became my voice, my way to be myself. Now, when I speak English, I don't feel like I'm using a second language. I feel like I'm expressing my true thoughts. I feel free. I feel open. I feel strong. And that's what I want for you. You don't need to sound like a native speaker. You just need to sound like you. Honest, kind, alive. If you repeat only with your lips, you will forget the words. But if you repeat with your heart, you will remember them forever. This is the power of the English audiobooks way. It teaches you to listen with care, to repeat with love, to speak with feeling. It's not just a method, it's a journey of becoming confident, becoming connected, becoming complete. So today, don't just practice. Feel every sentence. Pick one line. Close your eyes. Say it slowly. Say it with emotion. Let the meaning touch you. Then say it again. Let your voice carry your truth. That is the real way to learn English. That is the way I found my voice. And now, I believe you can find yours too. If this video helped you, if you felt something, if you learned even one small thing, then please don't leave quietly. Like this video, subscribe to the channel, and write in the comments, what English sentence do you feel in your heart? This is not just a channel. This is your home for real, honest English, where we listen, we repeat, we speak, and we grow together. The English Audiobooks way.